The content of this episode may not be suitable for some audiences. Listener's discretion is advised. Welcome to the place of rest, where our aim is to give you language that helps you displace the growing confusion, chaos, and dis-ease of our times. My name is Jonathan Boyce, and it's my pleasure to bring to you today's episode. Virginia and U.S. Marine veteran and licensed therapist Juan Sanabria discuss his work in helping first responders heal from trauma. We hope you enjoy today's conversation.
Juan, thanks for joining me again. Okay, you were so eager to tell the rest of the story because it just doesn't end, does it?
No, it doesn't. You know, that's kind of one of the things that I learned in my healing and getting help with my thing is like the narrative approach to our lives, right? Like just because these previous chapters and scenes are done and written and over with, it doesn't mean that that's where we're stuck or the trajectory that we have to keep following. And it does take work to circumnavigate or you know, really plow through a new path. I remember as I was finishing grad school, I was interning at different places, and I had volunteered for about a year at a dual diagnosis place that was like focused on substance use recovery and mental health issues. And I remember telling myself like you just got to do it. It's a means to an end, because my focus demographic and target in my heart has always been veterans and first responders, because a lot of veterans, when they leave the military, end up becoming law enforcement, end up becoming hotspot jumpers, firefighters, EMTs, things like that. So I'm like, of course, it makes perfect sense. It's a field of service. It's a field of giving and protecting others, putting others before yourself, which is what veterans have always done. So it made perfect sense. And I'm like, they need healing. They need help.
Yeah.
And so I remember like working with these people, but it wasn't what I was really passionate about. And I remember just selling myself every day, like, this is the means to an end. And you know what? You prayed for strength, and God is making you strong by forcing you to go and being resilient and helping these people for the time being. And then I remember meeting Dr. Maribel Contreras.
Our clinical
Correct.
director. Our clinical director
Correct.
at R.E.S.T.
And then she's like, hey, you talk about wanting to help like veterans and first responders. I know this person, and they're about to launch this big program that is all about treating first responders and helping them and stuff. And she's like, I'm kind of helping launch it too, and you should go check it out. Watch their launch, be there, and see what you think of the place. And so I remember she sent me like a flyer of it, and I was like, oh damn, that place is far. And I was like, because I'm in the Illinois, right? We're pretty separated. And then I remember being like, okay, well, let's go. And I'm like, all right, God, like, I'll check it out. And I remember arriving to the villa, and it was very hot. And much like I like to present myself, because I know the way that I phenotypically look, the way that I present, my size and stature and all this other stuff, I was like, I'm going to present myself as least threatening and professional as possible. So I remember I was wearing a nice suit, sweating because it was like, and I'm trying to like position myself in your kitchen, like right under the AC vent. And I was like, this is a good spot for me to hang out and talk. And it happened to be next to the island. So I was like, oh, good. I can nonchalantly like lean on the island just so I could cool off under the air. And I remember we met, and it was very brief, and we shook hands and and how are you here? And I was like, Dr. Contreras told me to come check it out. Oh, doctor. Okay. Then the soft launch happens, and I hear Chris, and I hear you, and I'm sitting there, and I know I'm still sweating, but I can't feel the sweat or the heat anymore. And I just remember like the message. And I remember sitting there, and I know I was sweating. I know it was hot, but I just remember having this moments where like everything kind of fades out and I'm hearing their story. And I remember having this moment where I'm like, okay, God, like if this is it, then so be it. And I'm going to go and introduce myself and do my part. If you set this up for whatever reason, I'm going to go do my part. And the soft launch finished. And I remember not trying to overpower, but I really needed to see you. A lot of people around you. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of big for a reason. So let me just kind of like plow my way through the front. And I remember shaking your hand and I remember telling you like, this thing, whatever it is, it's what we need. And I remember telling you, I'm not law enforcement. I'm not fire. I'm a veteran, and veterans transition into these fields and we struggle the same struggles. And I remember telling you, if there is anything that I can do or be a part of this in any way, shape, or form, like, please use me. I remember just saying it like that, like, please use me to help you with this, because I just knew there was something more to this. And we talked more, took down my number, and we left. And then that was just kind of it. And I remember going back to work at the other place, and weeks would pass and I'd be like, man, I really hope. Okay. Well, I remember I'd always be like, it's your plan. Me talking to God, like, this is your plan, not mine. And I'm gonna just keep doing what it is that I got to do. And then out of nowhere, Doc calls me up, and then she's like, hey, do you remember that place we went to not too long ago? And I'm like, yeah. And then she goes, well, they're opening an office and all this other stuff. Maybe you can intern your last semester there. And I said, I'm there. I'm good. And then she goes, okay, well, let's see this. And I said, no, like, tell her yes. Whenever she needs me, like, I'm there. Just tell her yes. I need to go be a part of that. And she's laughing. She's like, you don't even know what. And I said, I don't need to know. Like, I do know. I know I don't know, but I know. Right?
Invisible
Correct.
strings.
So when you sit there and think about like everything that I've been through, and statistically, I shouldn't be here, right? Especially after how hard I worked to not be here and destroy myself. And it was just all the while, you know, the people know what you did to get this up and running, and over 30 years of you theorizing and putting these things together way over here. And then like, I'm struggling way over here. And then God's like, let me get this clinical director and just kind of dingle and like put her in between these two people. And he's working this grand plan that we have no idea is happening. And then he's like, cool, now I can connect them. And now he just pulled us together, right? He's Doc in the middle, you over here, me over here, and the string, and he just cinched it, and we all came together.
Amazing. It's been an amazing thing to experience, Juan, because simultaneously, because I want you to continue with your observations and your testimony about R.E.S.T and what you're experiencing and seeing and what compelled you to come specifically. But I will tell you that so many people have always wanted to come work with us. And a lot of them come from the conventional training, the conventional field. They've exhausted their resources, for example, in the mental health care space, especially dealing with addictions. And then, sadly, you start dealing with veterans. I feel like they've been marginalized and put on the side, and it's too big, too much. We just put them in institutions and in facilities. There's a lot of lay men and women and people like you that are trying to do something and change the system. But I had such a heart for your conviction because I could tell that you understood something that I knew could be done, but we needed as a team somebody that was willing to learn our language and understand the framework of R.E.S.T, because it's so, again, it's the antithesis of what the current system is. but it's very intuitive, if you will, and transformative. And I thought I just felt the same thing. I'm sending you, Juan, and you use the word that always comes up in my mind, reverse engineer. Virginia, I know how to reverse engineer this in a language that they'll understand. And anyway, I didn't want to interrupt you, but multiple therapists wanted to come work with us. 3 of them were first responders. And a few of them were also people that Dr. Maribel had suggested I interview, their current therapist. But when she mentioned you, I immediately remembered you. I remembered the conversation. I remembered the handshake. I just remembered that saying, no, this is the guy for us. This is the person you have to fill this spot and honestly lead an expanding and growing team of therapists in this arena. We obviously serve the general population as well, but in this growing program, and especially with the complexities of what we do, because it is very different and it's very functional and root cause. And it's a different language almost that we speak at R.E.S.T, right? But it's so transformative, and I don't know. It is just an amazing story. So we chose you with still in school.
Yep.
I could see the intensity of what you were carrying and the residue. And now that you know me so well, you thought, oh, Virginia saw about 150 layers through that handshake. Yeah. And I did. But I embraced it all because I knew who's beneath the rubble. And I saw the heart of a warrior in you. And it's just, anyway, I just had to throw that in. It was a divine appointment. It was a divine appointment, and it was an incredible thing to witness.
And here's the thing, right? So I've shared all that and how we were brought together, but here's like the real icing on the cake is because, I shared like, I have to know this. I have to master these things so that I can break it down to them, because it was my personal lived experience and with my buddies in the Marine Corps, and also now as a clinician and working with first responders, that it's treated completely different. And I always use the example of like a person being diagnosed with cancer.
What's treated differently before you go on? What is treated?
The way that they explain to you your mental health issues versus like any other diagnosis. If you're diagnosed with mental health conditions such as PTSD, anything like that, right? Hey, first of all, they come in, they probe and poke at you and ask you all these things and like make you expose yourself. And that first in of itself is like incredibly difficult to do. It's just vulnerability and re-traumatizing as you tell stories.
Because the timelines they require.
Correct. So all that happens, and then they just go, okay, thank you, and send them out the door. And I'm like, this person is in an incredibly vulnerable state, and you just have a nice day. Like, you're not even going to be like, okay, let's calm down, let's bring it back. Nope. They make you do all this stuff, and you have no idea how it affects them here and here at the same, like this connection with what I just bared to you. And you just go, okay, thank you, have a nice day. You don't even bear to be like, okay, calm down, let's wind down. Hey, are you okay? Are you feeling safe? Nope. Have a nice day. And then a couple weeks later, you get a letter that comes in the mail. It's like, you have post-traumatic stress disorder, you have generalized anxiety disorder, you have, major mood, depressive, severe like you have all these things, and you just sit there and you're like, oh, okay. And then they're like,
well, I already knew that. Yeah, they clinicize. I invented a new word, but they clinicize, I guess, what you already knew, and somehow they branded it and tattooed it in your soul, and you feel totally naked and exposed. And what am I supposed to do now?
1,000%.
For sure.
Where it's like, if someone gets diagnosed with cancer, they go, hey, look, this is what it is. This is the type of cancer you have. This is to the degree that you have it. And this is what treatment's going to look like. We're going to go in surgically, excisions, and move areas around it too, just to ensure it doesn't spread. And then after that, we're going to go in and do some chemotherapy and blast it with radiation. Right.
Protocol,
explain it and break it down to you, Barney style, so you know exactly how does that sound. Is this something you're willing to do? Why don't they have the same approach with PTSD? They don't. And so,
may I say something? I don't think, and you make an excellent point. I've never heard it explained that well. You're completely spot on. here's a challenge, that they do that with everything associated with mental
Correct.
illness. The best you get is, we'll see you
Correct.
next week. We'll see you next week. And well, when do the weeks end? And I continue to be branded with the same thing. And yes, you're giving me some tools and some transactional things to do, but they're not transformative. And Juan, you got that so immediately here, and you understand the depth and breadth of the implications greater than I, of course, obviously. But from day one, we mitigate all that. From the minute you set foot in our office, we don't just talk. Yeah, we're going after the central nervous system. We're seeing how the brain's processing. We're going through microcurrents, right? It's the breach in communication between the parts that we get to the heart of. And now, for the first time, I really understand why you get this. You got rest so quickly.
So,
yeah, expound on
that's exactly where I'm headed, right? Because I knew this, and then I'm like, it was God telling me, this is it. This is what I've had for you. This is for you to go. And now I've connected you with someone that's going to take this message and do it, because I always had this reverse engineering idea in my heart. And I kept it real quiet because I was like, I don't want to share this with anyone that doesn't believe it, like really believe it. And I need people to like understand what it is that has happened to them because of their traumas and like all these things going on. And if I can break it down to them, we can reverse engineer it. That's been my slogan and my thesis of like, we're going to heal you and fix you by reverse engineering the damage that has been done, what has transpired throughout your entire life, right? And then I come to rest with like, this is my approach and this is how we're going to do it. And I know it will work because, first of all, I'm living proof that it will work. But as I've applied it to other people, it has worked.
Which is science. We're talking about the science of rest. And because there is design, that's where we discover the mysteries of what Juan mentions and calls and reverse engineering.
Correct.
That is the reverse engineering, is the science of rest, which leads you to peace, freedom, and healing.
Right.
Yes.
And, you know, here's another thing that I always smile and laugh when we have groups and stuff, because when I do my psychoeducation things, right, and I'm teaching them, for example, like the illusion of truth that I've been teaching our current clients and stuff, and I'll smile and laugh because you'll go in and you'll do your thing one group, and then I'm like, this is exactly what I've been breaking down to you minutely on the microscopic scale. And she's teaching it through you. She's teaching it to you the way God would teach it to you. And I'm teaching it to you the way that like you need to understand. So they're getting the same message from two different approaches, the faith-based component of it, and like me being so analytical and science-based. And like, we're really driving these messages to them. And I sit there and I laugh and I smile, because even like when you're not in a group and Samantha's in a group, God sends the message through someone else. Samantha will speak and she'll share something, and I'll just sit there and smile and I'll be like, what does that sound like, Samantha? And then she'll be like, oh yeah, it's the illusion of truth. And then I'm like, yeah, it's God working through you in that way. And I'm helping you understand it this way. And I remember from day one that I met R.E.S.T, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is it. I can share this, like, that I've been holding close to my heart. Like, this is very, very important and personal and like rich to me. And I never shared it with anyone else, but she's doing the same work.
Mark your calendars for a night of impact at the R.E.S.T and Recover America Gala on Thursday, October 9, 2025, at the stunning Villa Tortorella. Join us for an unforgettable evening, a gala celebrating our first responder community and supporting the efforts of R.E.S.T and Recover America as they provide life-changing mental health services to first responders. There will be a dinner, special guest speakers, including our keynote speaker, Hedia Miramati Falco, and a silent auction. Tickets are limited, so don't wait. Secure your spot today at the link in the show notes. Together, with your support, we can directly strengthen and expand our mission to restore well-being and renew capacity to thrive for our first responders. Join us for a night of hope, celebration, and giving back. Get your tickets now.
We always said that rest was the philosophy, what's true and what's not, in the theology. Is there a God or isn't? And how does he manifest in the creative order of all things? So the philosophy and the theology of how the soul works through the brain and the body. And we have a data-driven, evidence-based program that documents the science of rest, right? My background is in neuroscience. I graduated from UCI. That was always what I was curious about. But I wasn't curious just about one facet, the anatomy of the soul, nor the physiology, nor the brain. I was fascinated and curious, if you will, in many ways, like as you are and were and are, about the connections of these things. And I think that's where your intuitive sense of, I get the inner workings of these things, but how are we going to communicate them? And I think when you found rest, this is what I gathered from you. When you heard me speak, when you found rest, when I talked about the framework, if you will, of the rhythm of rest that's essential to understand, to sustain and advance life, you intuitively knew, wow, this is it. And reverse engineering this into a language that not just veterans understand and first responders understand, but that the general population can understand that these things are fundamentally common to us all and essential to us all. And I think that's what you grasp, and that's what makes you such an effective therapist. But so much of that understanding, in my opinion, comes from the things you've suffered.
Yeah.
But would you agree with that, or what are your thoughts on that?
1000%. Because as I had shared, like in the first chapter or the first section, like about myself, my traumas and stuff left me fractured, like with my relationship with God, because good people don't do bad things. They don't do, and I remember like this just duality and like conflict within myself. Like the term rest, I wasn't able to rest. I was just like so conflicted and torn. And one of the things that I have been teaching our clients and explaining to them is you have to, or you should, become efficient and proficient at being in tune with your body, because your body cannot lie. You've heard me teach it to them, and I tell them, like, your body is the first indicator of something being wrong. And I tell them, like, this because there are times you arrive on a call, right? Or a firefighter, law enforcement arrives somewhere, and immediately your body's like, nope, something's off, something's there. Like, your body will always tell you when something's not in alignment.
Right. There's communication systems, right?
Correct.
Juan, when you said that, something struck me. I thought the first indicator that something is not right, I always reasoned, was the spirit. You intuitively, there's a quiet, still voice. It's very gentle that says, psst, psst, don't do that. That's not the best. Then there's your soul, right? The second information system, your mind, your heart, your will, your conscience, that's informing you a little louder.
Mm-hmm.
And the loudest is your body, right? That
Mm-hmm.
says, okay, it's okay that information is missed maybe in the spirit and in the soul. But when it gets down to the body, we'd advise you, well, I'm thankful usually because, wow, okay, it brought you in. But that's what you don't want to neglect, because that's the last stop.
Correct.
We have to reverse engineer. How is it the body's carrying the weight or the resource, the residue of all those experiences?
Mm-hmm.
What was missed in the mind, the heart, the will, the conscience, the feelings, and the soul? And what was missed in the spiritual realm? And sometimes it's not that things are missed, right? It's just that everything hits us so fast that we have to go back and do some cleanup. That's all.
Right.
And this is universal. This is common to us all. And that is the only path to rest. And I just want to throw this in, and it might be a monkey wrench in this, but we're talking about physiological. We're talking about very private, personal, intense, serious experiences we share. But whether it is a company, whether it is a relationship, whether it is a family, any system that you're dealing with that is compromised, you need to determine and ascertain where the breach in communication is between that organism, if you will, or organization. So what's valuable about rest, and I think why you were immediately your antennas were already up, but our antennas connected, was because we were having the same conversation, the same hunger, the same desire, maybe the same curiosity that I'd spent 45 years really curious about. But you had spent a large part of your life experiencing and wondering about all those same things. So when those paths cross, that's why we're able to help people that really want freedom. We're able to help them relatively quickly. Would you
Correct.
agree?
1,000%. And when you rewind the tape and we watch this later, with everything that you just said, I'm smiling ear to ear because it's part of the things that I teach in regards
Yes.
to like reverse engineering. And I explain to our clients, like, listen, our our blueprint, if you will, of like how mankind is engineered. We are a herd. We have our
Made for
micro.
relationship. Made for
Correct.
relationship.
And you hear people talk about like, oh, this person's energy and their chi and this other stuff. Well, that's how our body senses, right? Even though it's spirit letting you read something else, in like layman's term, it's their energy, and you can read and sense their energy, and your body is an instant translator. It reads it and it sends you a message, and it'll be like, watch out, like this doesn't feel good. Or like when I shook your hand and it's like, yeah, this is good. This is nice. It's the body reading the energy and giving you that instant message, that instant transcription of like, this is good. Or like, something's a little bit
It's the
off.
truth. It's the truth.
Or correct.
Truth resonates.
1,000%. And so I'm teaching our clients this, and I was like, you've experienced it your whole life. And I tell them, look, understand that everything serves a purpose until it no longer serves its purpose. Now, in your line of work, it is imperative that you are able to shut it down and mission accomplishment and take care of what needs to get done, right? You have to push through those things and get out of your comfort zone. But that's not how you're supposed to live your day-to-day life when you're off the clock, when you're with your love. It's not supposed to be like that. And things like get rewired physiologically with the cumulative trauma exposure, where like now it reads everything as a threat. It misinterprets stuff, right? And you have to be understanding, because you'll read something the wrong way and your body will be like, no, that's not the case. No, no, no. And you'll just be like, nope, it has to be because of everything that I've experienced. This has to be. And by having that kind of approach, you're preventing yourself from experiencing great, wonderful, beautiful things because you're immediately thinking things are a threat. And that's not a way to live. And so when you say things like this, I smile because I'm like, that's what I try to teach them in regards to reverse engineering. And then you come at them with the spiritual side of it, of how it is. And it all aligns. It's all really the same message using different words. And
yeah, and it's the biometrics we have. It's the science we have, the biometrics, the things we've put together that'll give them a printout to substantiate the spiritual, the psychological, and the physical. And there is the invisible string, I guess, that we're trying to connect between all those things. You cannot leave curiosity, questions, debates, conversations about where this ultimately leads, which is questions about God. It's impossible to leave out a discussion about what's true and what isn't, about design being there or not. Because the design is there. It's universal. You can't escape it. Well, if there's design, there's a designer. And it's a big conversation. And everyone, of course, it takes people different paths. But we certainly feel a sense of responsibility about having that conversation.
correct. And here's the thing, that why I'm like a little bit about myself. I'm very much an all or none type personality. Like I'm type
All
A.
or nothing, yeah.
If I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it all the way. Like I can't halfway, one foot in, one foot out. I'm totally driven. And so when I came to rest, and you're using the word and God, and I'm like, it's emboldened me to where I'm like 1,000%. And when we were talking about string theory and the universe and all this other stuff, I remember I told you, look, people can deny or choose to ignore God. That's a selective choice. But like you, for example, like I used in the office the other day, science tries to break down how before this in the Big Bang Theory, there was a singularity, right? Everything in all the universes was all compressed to something that's like the size of a pen tip, right? And that was a singularity. And there was nothing before it. And then boom, we had the Big Bang Theory and everything expanded, all the mass and energy and all these atoms and protons and neutrons and everything came from one single point. Well, R.E.S.T has emboldened me to be like, you don't have to be quiet about this stuff, because
No.
how does the world and everything start? In the beginning, there was darkness. It was a singularity. And God said, let there be light. Boom, a Big Bang Theory. That's where every light and energy source came from. So yeah, you can choose to, sorry to be so harsh, you can choose to be ignorant of the existence of God, but his proof is evident every single day around us. And like I've shared with our clients, like these lies where like, I was like, I'm worthless, I'm horrible, I'm this, that, and the other. God was like, no, you're not. You're
No,
very much
that's right.
worthy of love.
I made you like me. I
Look at
made
the
you like
mom you
me.
placed in your life. If you weren't any good, she wouldn't love you. Look at the woman that I've blessed you with, that helped you through all your struggles, through sobriety. And now she's your wife. And now you want to form a family with her. Go forward and be fruitful, right? I place this woman. A woman like my wife wouldn't be with me or have given me an opportunity if I wasn't a good person or worthy of God's love. And he shows me his love through her. It's all around us, in your
It's
kids, in your
yeah, it's undeniable. I got when you were saying that, by the way, thank you. That's the highest compliment anybody can pay me. That at the end of the day, you're making me bold you're helping me be emboldened
correct.
about the things that I ponder and treasure in my heart that are hidden things in this person that I've gotten to know, which is God. But when you think, so thank you for that. In the beginning, the spirit, the soul, and the body, the spirit is God, right? The soul of the Trinity is the Holy Spirit, the power and the authority that carries everything out, that teaches and guides and instructs and comforts, right? And then, of course, the person, the spirit, the soul, and the body is Jesus, an incarnation of Christ. But that being spoke into being the framework of what we call science, which is time, space, and matter. And time, space, and matter is broken down into a Trinitarian framework also that explains it. But a triune God made time, space, and matter a triune framework that would sustain balance, harmony, and coherence, by the way, that sustains life, so that the spirit, the soul, and the body of a man could inhabit time, space, and matter. For what? For his pleasure, so that we could experience that invisible string with him. And it takes a lot more faith to deny what I just said, because science bears witness of what I just explained.
Correct.
And it takes a lot more faith to deny and disregard that than it does to be curious and displace our ignorance, which ignorance is just not having information, right? It takes a lot more faith to displace that ignorance than to be curious and say, wait, if I don't have the information, these guys are saying something I'm experiencing, but I never wanted to give the credit to God. I wanted to be a master of my own destiny and figure out these things for myself. Maybe this is something that we can encourage people to ponder, right, Juan?
Without a doubt. One of the things, especially with clients that I teach them, like in your line of work, and I was like, here's a spoiler alert. Here's a little bit of what you've been trained. Like, there's, in my world, right, it's called radical acceptance, where it's like you put feelings, emotions, all this stuff to the side, and you focus on just what the facts are. And I tell them, you were doing this when you would respond to a call, not knowing that this is what it is. You arrive to a call, You analyze the situation and you immediately focus on the facts. There's a car that's facing this way and a car that's facing this way.
Yeah,
You slowed it
exactly.
this way. What is it that happened? Let me tend to the people. Immediately you're like, oh crap, this is bad. And immediately you're like, okay, let me focus on the facts and run off of that and get the job done. And then later we'll focus on this other stuff like who's at fault and this and the other. Okay. The fact is two vehicles collided. Lots of people are hurt. We need to triage and stabilize them and then get them transported. That's radical acceptance. You're focused on just what is clear and evident and you cannot deny. God puts these things in your life that you choose to deny or choose to ignore. Like, nah, that was just luck. Nah, that was just coincidence. Like, at what point do you have so much coincidence happening all the time? Sure, maybe it was a coincidence that I met Dr. Contreras. And sure, maybe it was a coincidence that she sent me an invitation to you. And it could have been coincidental that I chose to drive an hour and a half to the villa that day and then an hour and a half back home, right? In the heat. Sure, it could be coincidence, or I just accept the fact that it was God's plan. And I
Well,
just
how
had,
about the bullet? The bullet that never went off. I mean, those are a lot of coincidences to rationalize.
yeah, you know me. I never ever leave home without it, and it's always on me. So
You're so great.
that's my
Amazing.
lucky.
That's right. That's it.
So if you
That's
look
your
at it,
blessing.
so what this is
Does
a
it
center
say
fire.
lucky? Uh-huh.
What that means is the hammer, the firing pin hit here. And what's supposed to happen is once that gets struck, it creates a spark in here, and all this is gunpowder, extremely flammable. So this tiny little spark ignites everything in here, and it shoots what's known as a projectile down the barrel. So the fact that it struck the primer and it did not go off is, I forgot where I looked it up, and you have to remind me to find that statistic, but I had better chances of winning the lottery than having a brand new bullet misfire out of a whole new pack of stuff. And
Yeah, for
again,
those of you that are listening, Juan was just holding the actual bullet that he carries with him every single day in his pocket that never fired from his gun.
yeah.
This is such a great story.
Well, like here's the kicker to it. Like years later, because I love the range and it's always been a part of my job in the Marine Corps, and it's just fun for me, right? It's not therapy, but it's therapeutic to just have fun with my weapons. Well, the first time I went back, I grabbed that same gun with that same magazine inserted, and I remember having this thought, like, I wonder if. And so I set the target up and I just drew, aim, fired, boom, 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 all 15. Boom, boom. Not a single mishap. This one was the only one that didn't fire out of that entire case of ammunition. And so,
I bet we all have one of those stories.
correct.
That's not quite a physical bullet, but I wonder if that's a good question to leave with everyone. Wow. Closing words, Juan.
I mean, stop feeding into this illusion of truth. And I can explain to people illusion of truth at a later time, but just take a moment, really sit there and ponder and reflect, like, how much God is evident in your life every day. I mean, from the moment you wake to
He's talking to you, huh?
fall into sleep, he is around you all the time. He's showing you how much he loves you. People sit there and ask me, like, dang, dude, you drive an hour and a half each way to work every day. Doesn't that suck? And I said, who am I to complain when I prayed for this? I prayed to find somewhere to help veterans and first responders. And not only that, God said, good, I'm going to give you what you want. And you're going to grow in faith in the process of helping people heal. Sure, I travel far. I don't care. I wake up in the morning and then I'm like, like people, I share, and it sounds weird to say it, but like my conversations are very like bro-ish. And I tell God, like, all right, dude, whatever it is you need them to hear, use me, channel it through me. Like, please help my words land in their heart, like bypass the ear, bypass the hypothalamus and the prefrontal cortex and all of this stuff that we have that is damaged and fractured from them, from their trauma. Help me bypass all of that and help me land where it matters so that they can truly start healing and seeing you, because they choose to ignore you. But like, help me get your message to them. Use me however you see fit, and like, I've gotten feedback from people like, dude, you're a big guy. And I'm like, if this is what people need to see, like this big guy break down and cry and expose my vulnerabilities, then so be it, because I shouldn't be here. But God refused to let me leave. So if this is his plan, then all right, dude, do whatever it is that you need through me, and take every last breath that you need from me, and help people see what it is that they need to see from you. Like, I give myself to you, and I'm incredibly thankful to you. I owe everything to you, and this new life that you've given to me, I can't thank you enough. And these people that have crossed paths with me and are in the same fight with me, God, just please give us unwavering ammunition to win this fight. Give us the energy we need to keep coming back every day to help these people heal and to help these people find you, because they are worthy and really deserve to find your love and your peace. Like, I want them to find the peace that you finally bestowed on me. Like, I cannot thank you enough for finally giving me this sense of peace and purpose. And I'm so grateful. I love you. And I
Amen,
feel
amen,
Virginia.
and
I love
amen.
everyone at R.E.S.T. I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be filled with more gratitude every day. Thank you, Miss Samantha, for everything you do. Hey, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lauren. Like, I can sleep now thanks to you putting me in Therapist. Like, you know how bad I struggled with sleep. You know how bad it was for me. And now I sleep, restful sleep. I don't sleep more, but I sleep like with intent. Like, I can finally really sleep and wake up and just be like, all right, God, let's do this.
So fun. I just love to hear you speak, Juan, because you do it with so much heart, so much vulnerability, so much humility, so much love, so much kindness, and so much affection for humanity, and love for country, love for people, love for the world. And on October 9th, we're having an enormous event here at the villa, at this place of rest. And the dream that we've had for many, many years, and certainly as of late, is that rest isn't a program you just come experience at our place, but it is a movement. A very well-respected person of influence said to me, you don't have a company, you have a movement.
Mm-hmm.
And the science, the philosophy, and the theology of how the soul works through the brain and the body is something of great importance, significance, perhaps like never before, especially given the technology we have access for and we employ.
Mm-hmm.
To get to the root cause of the splinters in your soul. And we're certainly going to continue that endeavor. And we're positioning ourselves to launch a huge national R.E.S.T campaign. But for now, here in California and throughout the country, because we do have first responders from all over the country that we serve, we are having a gala addressing the growing needs of this time we find ourselves in, right? The growing needs of first responders and this complex geopolitical challenges that we have. So we're stepping in the gap and we're offering services to everyone until this workman's comp is able to step in, insurance and all that. And it can be very, very taxing, almost impossible. And so we are having this event and we're inviting all those who see the need to heal the hemorrhaging heart of our nation. And certainly our first responders, that the statistics are really tough. They need our help right now. And we need them in seconds. When they call us, they don't
Correct.
get the help they need for months after multiple
Correct.
denials and brutal exposure that Juan mentioned to the systems, the trappings of the system. And so we invite you all to join us on October 9th at the Villa to raise the necessary resources to pay until workman's comp and the insurance systems kick in, because it's taxing on any organization trying to meet the needs. So by the grace of God, we've been very successful for the first year, but it's not sustainable when we're scaling this nationally and to where we can serve 300% more. We're positioned to scale now. So your participation, your support would be so greatly welcomed and encouraging to us. But we hope you can join us. And if you can join us, go online, send us a note, an encouragement, a scripture, a prayer, a thought, and you can collaborate and participate on a number of different fronts. So God bless you all for listening. Juan, you're one of a kind. You're one of a kind, and we need to find others like you, because this is going to take, it's bigger than us. It's going to take a lot of us.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Virginia. I want to urge and encourage more than anything, everyone, like, take a minute once you're done with this podcast, immediately go over to www.restandrecoveramerica.com, all one word, restandrecoveramerica.com. Find out and inform yourself, educate yourself more about what we are, and really make the effort, like the genuine effort, to join us on October 9th at the Villa, and just see how transformative this really, really can be. It's one thing to hear me say it. It is another thing to experience it. And I'm not a person that says always and never. And Virginia, she's heard me in groups and stuff where I stop myself, or I'll stop someone else and be like, please don't use absolutes in this, because there's typically rules to the exception. But I can firmly stand on saying that when you come to this, you will experience it. Don't just listen to it and hear this. Come, do yourself the service of experiencing rest with the rest of us.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
We hope listening to this episode has brought you closer to experiencing the freedom of wholeness and healing. If you have questions or comments about today's episode, or for updates about REST, please visit our Instagram or Facebook at The Place of Rest. If you would like more information about Virginia, or to support and join the cause of REST, please go to theplaceofrest.com/donate or call 949-289-5935. Thank you for listening to Rest with Virginia Dixon. We'll see you next week.